Christmas, baby. Merry Christmas, baby. And such happiness in the coming year. Sing sweet silent night. I fill a tree with the angel hair. Pretty, pretty lights. Put down to sleep and wake up just before daylight. And all these things and more, baby. That's what Christmas means to me, my love. All these things and more, baby. That's what Christmas means to me, my love. All these things to me, baby.
Well, good morning and welcome to the OGs at 11 show. We want to thank you for tuning in. Today we should have a very interesting show. We've got an interesting guest, and he's been here before. He's no stranger to the studio, no stranger to us. So we're going to get started after we do a few little, I think Mr. Jackson called them pay the bills advertisements. So we want to thank the Russian firm again for allowing us to do this show. And we want to thank Miss Betty, of course, the engineer and station manager, and she wears a lot of different titles. So we want to thank her for all that she does. And I think she's still putting people in houses, so that's good news. And give us a call here at the station at 404-477-0300 to contact us about being on the show. Today we're going to talk about a very interesting subject. And then first we're going to talk about the election, because we have someone here that's probably closer to some of the opinions of others about this election, and also he'll tell you about what he does with the pen or with the keyboard, so that you'll know that he's doing what needs to be done as far as expressing his opinion and others, reading others' opinions and of expression. So we want to say thank you for showing up today. And let me see now how I usually introduce people. You know more about you than I know about you. So just tell the people who you are and why you think you're here on the show.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Charles Michaud, and I have a show here at WAEN called the George Washington Carver Society, and it was every third Saturday. Today, I'm here actually to talk to Mr. Farmer about a new show that I have called A Brand New Day. As Mr. Farmer alluded to, I'm a writer for Yahoo, and I recently was asked to write for Essence Magazine, and I write a lot of commentary on the issues of the day. And so before we went to live broadcast, Don Farmer and I were talking about President Obama and the election and the different issues that the president faces going forward. And as we were about to get midstream in our conversation, Mr. Farmer said we should probably hold off and share this conversation with our audience.
Very good. And we were talking about the president being reelected. You were talking about the different droves of people you saw with the I voted sticker
yes,
on. And why don't you talk about that? What age group were they? And
absolutely.
Where you were?
I was, election morning, I was at the International House of Pancakes on Old National in College Park. And I think it was around 8:30 in the morning. And one of the things that I noticed was I kept seeing droves of young people coming into the House of Pancakes, and they all had that, you know, that Georgia Peach.
Georgia Peach, I voted.
Yeah, I voted. And I was sitting there, and they just kept coming. These young people who were 19, 20, 21, and there was just droves of them, and it was like, and when I finished my meal, I just sat there because I was enjoying seeing our young people take the responsibility, have the initiative to get up early in the morning and go vote before they start their day, before they go to school, before they go to work. And I felt so, I felt such a sense of peace for our elders who passed on, that the young people, these young people, have picked up the torch and they realize that every vote counts.
Now, in your mind, when you say you were pleased to see that, what thoughts went through your mind as far as what went through their mind to even want to go out and vote?
I really do believe, Mr. Farmer, that the young black male and female alike had nothing to vote for before. I think that before they had two candidates who didn't look like them, who didn't care about them, who didn't articulate the needs of the day for the average working class man and woman. And so I think for the first time they see someone who truly understands what their mothers and fathers go through, who understands the importance of education, who struggled. I mean, nobody gave Barack Obama a free pass. I mean, his grandparents, they worked hard, they saved their money. He had to get student loans like we all had to, and he didn't get a free ride. And so he's there by his will, by his ambition, by his great determination, and his faith. And that's why he's sitting in the White House. Nobody gave him anything, and I think that he's a great role model for all of our young people to follow going forward.
Okay, so as far as the election, post-election, with a lot of the articles that's being written and the comments that are being made by different people, especially people that's already in the political arena, have you seen any that has really shocked you as far as now us re-electing a president and not? First of all, I think we have belittled the office, and we have really gone to a disrespect for the office of the President of the United States. That's my opinion, and I say that because you'll hear comments and you'll see things that you've never ever seen before, and they're hitting in a personal manner about our president. And I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say this, and I think it's only because he's black.
Right.
And I think that's a total disrespect for the office of the President of the United States as well as the President himself. So what's your opinion on that?
I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And when I say wholeheartedly, I agree with you through and through, 100%, exclamation. As a person who writes for Yahoo, and I read, and I write a commentary on Huffington Post, and I'm always reading the political issues of the day. And one other thing that strikes me, and is actually quite funny, I recall, as a matter of fact, there was a terrible hurricane that hit the state of Mississippi. And the governor, Hallie Barbour, he was had difficulty pronouncing the word president. And so he's always saying Obama or Obama.
Yeah.
And when the hurricane hit Mississippi, and they needed federal dollars, and they needed the president to step up to the plate, the governor of Mississippi, for the first time, was able to articulate. He was able to say President Obama very, very clearly. Governor Christie of New Jersey never referred to President Obama as President Obama. This is a problem with the GOP. They say Obama, Obama this, Obama that, Obama this, Obama that. When Hurricane Sandy went through New Jersey and devastated the state of New Jersey, Governor Christie stood out in front of President Obama and said, President Obama has done everything in his power to help us. I'm not going to get into politics, even though the GOP and the news media goaded him. He said, I'm not going to do it. He said, this man is true to his word. He came here. He brought the resources. He's going to help us. And I'm watching him, and I'm saying, wow, look at this guy. You know, these people, they know how to say President Obama when they get in trouble.
Well, you know, as a people, we're like that too. When we get in trouble, we know how to say Jesus. People that don't believe in Jesus will be calling on him. So, I mean, I relate it as the same kind of thing. Look, let's talk about the GOP. Okay. I'm so disappointed in a group of people that call themselves a party for the people, and how they are reacting to everything, not only to the election, but as far as just different aspects of life. They are, if you say your denim jeans are blue, they say they're orange. If they say your top is orange, then they say it's blue.
Right.
And I don't see that much difference in what we're looking at. Are you getting any feedback from anybody else to talk about the GOP and how and what they stand for? Because I really don't know what they stand for at this point, except themselves.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that I always say is greedy, opportunistic pigs.
Yeah. That's
GOP.
That's a good one.
And one of the things that troubles me deeply is the leading economists in the United States. They said that the cost of 2 wars, Afghanistan and Iraq, is $4 trillion. $4 trillion. This is the cost of the war. Now, the GOP, they don't open their mouth. They never, you know, George Bush got us involved in 2 wars, and it's going to cost $4 trillion. Now, when you talk about Medicare, Social Security, and they call them entitled benefits, they're not. You pay for that.
Now, when you talk about the $4 trillion, I want you to keep your thought on that. But when you talk about the $4 trillion, are you actually talking about the $4 trillion that was put into fighting the war, as far as providing the dollars for the bombs, the tanks?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And that doesn't even calculate into the home loss of investment that we get because people are, you know, not here working, not productive to society, even though they're over there doing some things to try to create a better world. And I'm not anti-war. I'm just anti those 2 wars.
Right. Absolutely.
Because I thought they were totally unnecessary.
Yes, they served no purpose other than to make the oil barons richer.
Yeah, I think, and it's kind of quieted down now since he's left office. But when it was first started, we thought it was a retaliation because of the older Bush and the relationship that had happened between Iraq and Saddam Hussein and the older Bush, and that the newer Bush came in to like punish and to say, look, you know, this is not going to happen because we're going to. That's the way it started out, but then they kind of made it seem like they were doing something. But we all know it was a financial thing anyway.
Well, you know, what's interesting to me is if you can go to YouTube and see this, and he actually says it. Donald Rumsfeld, on September the 10th, 2001, he stood at the Pentagon at a podium, and he said, we lost $3 trillion. He said, we don't know where the money is.
Yeah.
He said, we lost $3 trillion. Now, where the planes hit the Pentagon, they hit the room where they had the computers that kept the information for where the $3 trillion went.
Isn't that interesting?
It's just pinpoint right
It's
there.
happening.
I mean, the terrorists, they were so smart. They said, yeah, we're going to just take out the computers, all the computers that had the information for the $3 trillion. So you got $3 trillion that the Pentagon can't account for. Then you got another $4 trillion that they're going to spend on 2 wars. And the GOP is...
Yeah. I think I know where some of that money is. So what do you think is going to happen in this second term for our president?
I really do believe that, and I was talking to Betty Craig about this earlier, and I believe this, and I have no shame about it. I think that what's the glue that's going to keep this country together, and what is really going to make President Obama take action is the black church. I believe that the black pastors, the people who live in the spirit of Dr. King will make headway with Obama, because Obama is, for all of his faults, he is a lover of Dr. King, and I think that he has not done as well as he could serving the black community.
Elaborate on that.
Well, I think that when the Israelis or when the Jewish community, when they go to him and they ask him for aid, when they ask him for funding, when they ask him for more money, for more weapons, there's not a hesitation, and he's got to bend over backwards and really, he's got to prove to them that he loves them. At the same time, I know he gave a speech and he said at one of his speeches that, you should stop griping, you should stop complaining, and pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. But yet he never says that to the Jewish community. And I think that, one of the important things about Dr. King is in his I Have a Dream speech, he says, we, black people in America, got a check that was marked insufficient funds. Black Americans built the United States. If you take your son to Washington, D.C., and you point to the White House, black people built that house. Craftsmen, engineers, laborers, masons. If you walk down to the Lincoln Memorial and you point to that, black people built that.
And if you just happen to stop at a red light, at the time, we created those too.
If you go to the Jefferson Memorial, we built that.
Yeah.
If you stand on the street of Washington, D.C. on Pennsylvania Avenue, that street was made by black people. And yet, we never got that check.
Yeah. So you think that Obama's going to be able to deliver us that check?
I do not. I do believe, however, within our lifetime that we're going to get that check.
Really?
I do believe that, because Johnny Cochran, the great lawyer.
So you're going to live to be 150, apparently.
I really do believe it. And I want to say something real quick here. But I really do believe that because, I went to see Andrew Young, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago, and he said in the year 2020, America will not be a white nation.
Okay, I totally agree with that.
So here's my point.
Okay.
What's going to happen is people are going to catch up to history. People are going to understand the atrocity that was done to black Americans. And I'm talking about people of color they're going to run the House. They're going to take over the House and the Senate. And we may have a Hispanic or an Asian an Arab president, and he's going to be the one to write that check. Just like they wrote the check for the Jews. So let me just say this, because I'm trying to make my point here. Maya Angelou said she had a conversation with Dr. King. And she asked him, she said, well, do you think we'll ever have a black president? And he told her without blinking, without stuttering, he said in 40 years, it will happen. And she said, I could not believe that. She said, I didn't believe it. She said, but there is Barack Obama.
This is really not, this is the crazy part of me, but I have a video at home where Richard Pryor did the first black elected president years ago. And he, and in fact, if you saw it today, you would really think that it was done based on Obama being the president.
Really?
It's that detailed, and some of the things he says, and it's amazing. So I'm sitting there, when you saying that about Maya Angelou, I'm saying like, well, they did that skit. About, I guess it's been maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
Wow. And
so I think we all kind of knew, and with the 40 years.
I didn't believe it.
Really?
I
did.
The reason that I didn't believe it was I used to work with a company, and we sold high-tech security equipment, and we often did parties for Bill Clinton and his wife. They have what's called the Clinton Global Initiative in New York. And people from all over the world come to that. It's a big fundraiser. And one of the black girls, the first year that we did it, because my company did security for Bill Clinton, one of the first years that they did it, one of the black girls who worked for the Clintons, she came to me and she said, you would not believe how much money these people have. And I said, give me a number. She said, try $2 billion. I said, what? She said, yeah, $2 billion that the Clintons have. It's about 6 now.
Yeah,
that they have under their control.
Yeah.
And they can spend it however they see fit.
Mhm.
And it's one of the reasons that a lot of people in the Democratic Party, they were really kind of turned up to Hillary Clinton because they said, there's no way we're going to, these people have, you know, it was, you know, when you have $4 billion, it's hard to be the president.
Okay. But that's pretty much the goal of most Americans. Like I was telling Mr. Jackson on the show one day about, they're always upset about the 1%. Everybody's talking about the 1%, you know, and that they should pay more taxes and they shouldn't have that much money under their possession. But did you see the lines at the lottery the other day? Did you see how many people stood in line for hours and hours? Mm-hmm. Do you think they was trying to be in the 99%? I'm just lost and confused, man. They weren't trying to be in the 99%, standing in that line, spending that money. They were trying to get into the 1%.
That's a good
So,
moment.
I mean, I'm not anti-1%. Mm-hmm. I may be anti-attitude, you know, because I think it's an arrogancy that goes with part of having money. Everybody's not like that, though, but I think we just showed that one person that was like that couldn't buy what he wanted to buy. Mm-hmm. So I heard the other day that he's got a job again. Yeah. So he's working and he'll be able to make a difference on whatever job he's talking about working in. Look, what's your purpose for being here today? What did you want to talk about? We pretty much talked about the political thing.
I have a new show that's going to be starting on Saturday.
You got a new show starting Saturday.
Called A Brand New Day.
A brand new day. Okay, now, A Brand New Day. What's that about?
It's about Black history, and it's also about the power, the glory, and love of Jesus Christ. So there's an intertwining of, I'm going to share some true stories about people that I know who overcame great odds, people who kept their faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. And
is this on WAIN?
WAEN.
It's on AEN.
Yeah. And basically, you know, the message is always, I take from the Gospel of John, you know, the resurrection of Lazarus. We can all find new life in Jesus Christ. Because Jesus, when Lazarus had died, and Jesus went to the tomb, he told them to remove the rock. And he said, but the stench. And Jesus said, move the rock. And then he called Lazarus. And when he called Lazarus, Lazarus had new life in Jesus Christ. So we can all have new life, regardless of what our situation is, regardless of what where we're at, because with each breath of life, we have the opportunity in that moment to cry out to Christ and say, Father, save me.
So why do you think that's going to be a good show?
Because I think that from the historical point, the big problem in the black community, the biggest problem in the black community as far as I can tell, is that the blacks, the young blacks, do not have a sense of their history or their heritage. Because when you do have a sense of your history and your heritage, any great person that you talk to, any great person that you read about, what a lot of people don't understand or miss is that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a great historian. I mean, he knew his history. Dr. King, the 4 men that he most admired were Jesse Owens, Paul Robeson, George Washington Carver. And, you know, when he was a boy, his mother and father taught him that he came from a rich history. He came from a people who were noble. And so he never felt inferior, regardless of Jim Crow. And I think that our children don't have a sense of their history. Like if you go to, you know, like if you go to Washington, like I said, and point to the White House, the black man built that house. He designed it.
So what can we do? I mean, what can we do about that?
I think that we have to have passion.
And when you say we, who are we?
I think the elders.
Okay.
I think the elders need to have passion about the history And, like the Jewish community, the Jewish grandmother and grandfather who were in the concentration camps in Poland, they will lift up their sleeve and show their grandchildren the numbers on their arm and tell their story. And every Jewish kid, boy and girl, they know about Anne Frank. They know what happened to their grandparents. And it's with passion. And so when they go to school, they don't take it for granted. When they read a book, when they apply themselves to anything, it's not, they don't go to school late. They don't go to school without a pen. Because they don't, like when you understand that George Washington Carver walked 16 miles. He walked 8 miles there and 8 miles back. And there was no free lunch or free breakfast. When you understand that and you go, wow, I don't got to walk 8 miles. Rosa Parks, when she was a little girl, it was against the law for black children to ride the bus, the school bus. So when she's 42, she's been familiar with Jim Crow for 30 some odd years, where he said you can't ride the bus. So on that day, she found new life in Christ and said, no, take me to jail, shoot me, do whatever you got to do, but I'm not getting up.
Now, as far as the change that has to be made, I always have a saying that if you follow them home, then you'll see what the issues are, or you'll see what kind of person that's in the home that reflects what they're sending out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I find it very hard to understand why parents aren't instilling those kinds of things in their kids before they go to school. By the time they get to 5, I guess preschool,
mm-hmm.
by the time they get to 5, they should have so much in them that their parents have taught them
mm-hmm.
that they should know and have a feeling of what we've gone through, even at that earlier age.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what happens after 5 is then it's developed more,
mm-hmm.
and this is what bothers me. A lot of families, a kitcha, hey baby, kooky, and baby talk,
mm-hmm.
and all that kind of crazy stuff with kids,
mm-hmm.
when they actually should be taking that opportunity to teach these kids how to speak,
mm-hmm.
What they're about.
Mm-hmm.
I never will forget my little niece and how my sister-in-law and my brother raised her. As a baby, they were putting things in her,
Right.
So by the time she got to be, she's currently now a doctor,
mm-hmm.
but we got to stop thinking that this school system is going to make our children.
They're not.
The parents have to start it early, get it into them, and then we take the school system to develop it. And if they're not doing it, then we have to do what we need to do also.
Absolutely.
to make the corrections.
Absolutely.
So,
if I may add, I read a study. It was in Time magazine 6 months ago, and the scientists said that when a baby comes out of its mother's womb,
mm-hmm.
it's born a genius.
Mm-hmm.
Every baby.
And gets dumber every day as it gets.
Well, the mother says,
No,
stop!
I'm just
Stop that!
That's true.
Sit down!
Yeah.
Shut up!
Yeah. So that starts to take course.
And so you can take, here's the funny thing. So they said that when the baby comes out of the mother's womb, the baby is a genius, can do anything you program it to do. And this is why Tiger Woods, when he's 2 years old, he's in the high chair. His father loved golf so much that he built a net, and he would work on his golf swing in the garage. And he'd swing every day. He's a 40-year-old man. And Tiger Woods sitting up in a high chair, and he's watching his father.
Right.
And his father, for kicks, he got these little, miniature golf clubs made for Tiger to play with. And Tiger picked the golf club up and had to swing
mm-hmm.
at 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the father started crying. He ran into his wife. He said, Tiger is going to be the greatest golfer in the world. That's what he tells his wife. And then every single day of Tiger Woods' life, Tiger Woods' father said, Tiger, now listen to me, son. He said, you are going to be the greatest golfer in the world. And Tiger believed his father.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that he's not dominating now, he don't have his father. He don't have his father's love to guide him and to say, hey, listen, man. He's so caught up in this world of fantasy and illusion, and chasing these women who mean him no good. But when and Tiger is everything. Tiger is because of his father. Everything. His greatness is from Earl Woods.
And to take that to the other side, your parents get up in the morning. They have no job. They got kids. Daddy pops a beer and starts drinking it. Mama likes a joint. Kids sitting there looking, watching. They don't work. They cursing. They telling the kids, sit down, shut up, you ain't going to be anybody.
Right.
It works the same way.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what we have a problem understanding, is that we want to say that the positive works, but the negative doesn't. And they both work equally as well.
Absolutely.
And we as a people have to understand that, because if what you do at home, people have a tendency to learn more from seeing than from hearing. You know, they can see it, see what's going on and whatever, and then that's what they'll usually adapt to. So you can talk to them all day long, but it's how you live and how you show, you know, how you live that makes a difference, I think. Now, as far as our people are concerned, we're at a point now where I'm so confused as a black male that maybe you can give me some understanding. How can we be upset when a governor, a political person, or anybody that's non-African American use the N-word? We use it each and every day, all the time.
Right.
And how can we be so upset about that when we die 2 and 3 a day from our own people? We have more killings in our neighborhoods than sometimes in Chicago, for example, where they've had as many as 12 people killed in one night. We didn't lose 12 people in Afghanistan. But there ain't a soul that's raising hell about it.
Right.
Because am I understanding that these lives don't count?
Right.
Something's wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
and as a people, we gotta start addressing these kinds of issues.
Absolutely. You know, we can go to Trayvon Martin. Had Trayvon Martin been a white boy, George Zimmerman would be under the jail with no oxygen.
But, and don't misunderstand me, and I totally agree with you. But the kid that was beaten to death at the party here in Atlanta because somebody was going to get beat down that night was beat to death by black kids.
Right.
Now, that should drive me just as crazy as the white man who killed, because both of them are alike.
Well, you know, I really do. I used to work in Hollywood. I mean, I was an actor for over 12 years. And the most powerful medium to man is film. And this is what Hitler used to turn the German people against the Jews. He showed them free movies every day, all day long. And he showed them how the Jews were taking advantage and come into a community, take all the resources out. And Hitler masterfully used film. And I think that Hollywood has a preponderance of violence, and also in the movies, the first person that's going to be killed is a black guy.
Of course.
Every time you sit down, you know that black guy's going to be killed, and it's not going to be too long. It's not going to take a long time for them to kill him, but they're going to kill that black man. And I think that if you watch television, if you go to the movies, you know, I went to the movies 3 months ago.
Okay.
And I was sitting there, and I went to see Taken 2 with Liam Neeson. And when I was watching the movie, they had a commercial. And in the commercial, there was a white boy who was about 18 years old. He was with a white girl. And they were sitting next to each other, and they were hugged up. and they were drinking the soda and eating the popcorn out of the same thing. And then they flashed to a black couple. And it was a black woman and a black man. They were sitting there, and she had her head turned. She was facing this way. And the black guy, he was sitting there, and she had a soda in her hand. And the black guy, he was trying to sneak over and sip some of her soda, and she snatched the soda away, and the thing flew out of her, and she looked at him with this grimace on her face like, I hate you. And they were sitting there, and I had to get up and walk out of the movie. It disturbed me so. This is the image, and some of the people in the movie, some of the black people in the movie were laughing like, that's funny. That's not funny. That's not funny. I mean, when the woman that you're with on a date looks at you with that kind of anger, you shouldn't be on a date with her. And if you can't drink from her soda that you probably paid for her to go to the movie, you probably bought the soda anyway. But this is what Hollywood does, and it's very subtle. It's racist.
But see, this is where I have an issue too, because I agree with you, and I'm always breaking down commercials and all kinds of things like that. However, what possessed the actor and the actress to do that role?
You know what?
If it would have come to me and I would have seen it, I know I got bills to pay. I know I've got things to do. I know I need the money. But there's just some stuff I ain't gonna do. That would have been one of them.
People just don't give a damn.
You know, so you can't blame Hollywood.
You know what I'm saying?
And
what I'm saying is this, brother.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't control the movies, if you don't control TV, people can hurt you.
And they doing it every single day.
Yeah, it's like if you watch CNN. Let me give you an example of something. I used to subscribe to Time magazine.
Okay.
And a writer, and I'm a writer, mm-hmm. and there was a writer, he wrote a story on Trayvon Martin.
Mm-hmm.
And what he said in the piece was, he said that the situation was really not a racist deal. It didn't have, it wasn't racism, blah, blah, blah. Now, I listened to the 911 tape myself. And what happened is, George Zimmerman is following Trayvon Martin. And he's on the phone with the 911 operator. Mm-hmm. The 911 operator tells him to not follow him. Mm-hmm. And here's what he says. He speaks under his breath, but it's on tape. He says the MF and coon. He said they always get away. Mm-hmm. Call them MF and coon. Mm-hmm. That's a hate crime, boys and girls. Now they didn't write about that. So anyway, I read the piece. I was so incensed that I wrote to the editor, and I wrote to all of the writers of Time magazine, and I have my own newspaper. And I said, I'm going to tell every black publisher the trash you guys just wrote.
Right.
And I also said, I'm canceling my subscription to Time. I said, I don't pay for garbage like this. Mm-hmm. Now, this is Time magazine. This guy makes a lot of money. And did he not do his homework? Did he not hear the 911 tape? Did he not hear the person say don't follow him? Did he not hear him say MF and coon? That's why what's going to happen when they get this case, they're really going to try to, they played that on MSNBC on Hardball with Chris Matthews over and over and over again. They have black attorneys up there, and CBS shut it down.
Well, I think some of that, I don't know how you can try a case if you got everything out in the, so I know that some of the things that happen and some of the evidence it's not being given to the media. I don't know how much, because they're giving so much to the media. Right. It confuses me. But don't you think, and I don't know this, so I'm asking this as a question, as an ignorant question, but don't you think there's a code out there about what they're going to make sure that they keep doing to make sure that we're not seeing in the right light?
Oh, absolutely. Well, it was an epiphany to me, because what happened was I started looking at all of the major media outlets, and I saw a same pattern.
Yeah.
They were all covering up because what happened with the Trayvon Martin case, and I'm in media, was when it first happened, The white media just swept right. They didn't even want to deal with it. And what happened was it was the black media and the black church that kept it alive.
Yeah.
Like Rosa Parks. They wouldn't let it go away. It's a defining moment in our modern history.
You know, but some of the things also, and I've talked about it on the show once or twice or 3 times or 100 times before, is that we as a people are just too quiet and too easy, and they know it. When I say they know it, the political machine and the folks that's running stuff.
Right.
And because this is what happens. How in the heavens do they pass a law like that anyway? Now, I just heard also, a buddy of mine lives in Jacksonville, about the kid that was killed because he's playing his music too loud.
Right.
And this guy is going to
drive off.
But he's still going to fight it as a, what is it?
Stand your
ground law. So we as a people let these laws pass, and then after we lose some lives or they start to take true advantage of us, then we want to go back and repeal them. I got a problem with us as a people, and I'm saying us because I'm part of it too. We got to stop mess like that from being passed in the first place.
Right.
You know, we got to have lobbyists. But let me tell you something about us. I'm going to talk about us too, because it's not all them, it's us too.
Okay.
Lobbyists. We need lobbyists. But we don't see the value of lobbyists as people, because we don't want to pay for anything we don't see.
Right.
I'll pay you $1,000 for a gold necklace because I think it's going to make me look good. Not knowing that the stand my ground law is going to shoot me to death because I'm going to look like a brother that's intimidating.
Right.
We got some different value systems that we need to work on. And we need to get these politicians, because a lot of the politicians now and today's politicians are self-serving people.
Right, absolutely.
We need more people that's more concerned about everybody and all people versus just being what their careers are going to do and how they're going to, how they're going to benefit from it financially. So the Stand Your Ground law is a law that, well, it's basically we got either the same law or a very similar law here in Georgia. That it's just going to be a matter of time before there's another Trayvon.
Right.
And playing my music too loud kind of brother that's going to lose their life. And then we get all excited. We raise sand, but they know, don't worry about them. In another week, they ain't going to even remember this. They ain't going to say nothing. We got to change as a people, man.
I really do think, and I really believe this with all of my heart, that the presidential election was important.
Right.
But I think that the local elections in your community are more important.
Right. I agree with you.
Because what Dick Gregory says is you need to control, like I live in College Park. I know the police chief. He's a black man, Ron Fears. The police are respectful, and they know that Ron Fears will put his foot so deep in your behind, you better not cross the line. And so the young people can look at Ron Fears, and this is the head guy in charge of the police security in College Park.
We're going to have to get him on the show. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, but anyway, it's like
you can have him on your show.
The police department, your fire department, your banks, where you have to get money, your printing, where you have to get printing done, your judges, when they sentence these people, if the judge doesn't look like you, he doesn't have a sense of history. He doesn't understand that there are no jobs. And I've seen time and time again, white boys, they make a mistake, they do something wrong. Oh, well, you know what, he's a young guy, he's 19 years old, he's really not mature. And listen, Johnny, don't do that again, because if you do it again, if you carry a gun and you tell somebody you're going to kill him, that can be serious. But we're going to let you go this time. Now, a black guy, he steals a Snickers bar, he's going to go to jail for 2 years. And it's up to us to say, who is the judge? We have to vote for the judges, the mayor, and I think that's where, because for me every day when I wake up, I'm not trying to change America.
Right.
I'm trying to change my community.
Start right where you are.
Yeah, where you are. And everybody take care of your community, and Obama will take care of the rest.
Right.
And it's like, because what use is it if somebody in another state, they don't have gun violence, they don't have the Stand Your Ground law, but you live in Georgia and you got all of this craziness going on. This is your community.
Yeah.
And so I think that people have to fight for the community. And I would say that I know a story is real quick. In New York City, there was a young Jewish boy, and he got beat up on his school grounds. And he came home and told his mother. And his mother said, really? And so his mother got on the phone and called all of her friends and went on her Rolodex and said, I need you to be at the school tomorrow with a placard. Mm-hmm. She said, because that principal, he got to go. And then she called every television station and said, I'm going to have 300 parents at the school tomorrow. I need you to be there. And when they got there, they had the news reporters, they went there. And the woman said, this is not a negotiation. He's leaving. Mm-hmm. And he left.
That's what we got to do as a principal.
Next. Who's the next principal?
Yeah, that's what we got to do. All right, let's talk about your show, your upcoming show on Saturday, and just give us a summary of who you are, and where you're going to take this show with.
Well, in 1996, I did a play called Road to the Mountaintop, and I played Ralph Abernathy. And at the end of the show, I had what's called an epiphany. And Dr. King came to me on the stage and started talking to me. And he said to me, he said, you know my story. You know our history. And he said, if you don't tell our history, who will? And I said, okay. And I gave up acting. And I've been telling our history ever since.
Well, we're just glad that you did. I think you can give it up, but you're in a position to help a lot of people get into it. So I think you'll be able to help some of the folks here at the station. But tell them about your show that's coming up and what it's going to be about, and we're going to let Miss Betty play her music.
on Saturday, I'm going to pay tribute to the people of Montgomery, Alabama, First Baptist Church, Rosa Parks, because we celebrate the anniversary of December 1st, 1955. Rosa Parks actually was the one who broke Jim Crow's back in the United States, not just Montgomery. That bus boycott went on for 381 days. Rosa Parks had to leave the state of Alabama because the white folks would not let her have a job. Without Rosa Parks, we have no civil rights, in a nutshell. And a lot of people think that happened, it was a week. It was 381 days. So Saturday, I'm talking about Rosa Parks, and also talk about the cross, why the cross is important. And finally, let me say, the problem for the Native American Indian. The white man decimated the Native American Indian. And the reason he was able to do that was because the Native American Indian did not have a black church. And we can laugh. I'm telling you seriously, they did not, because had they had a church, like we have a church, like we have a Martin Luther King Jr., you know, every ethnicity that comes to the United States, they benefit from what those people did in Montgomery, Alabama.
Well, we want to thank you very much for coming on the show today. We appreciate you as much as you could ever know. And we want to thank you for tuning in, OGs at 11. Stay tuned next week. We'll be back, and my host will be back next week, Mr. Louis P. Jackson. And thank you very much for tuning in. I'm excited about it. You know, this is a wonderful opportunity. Yeah.